On behalf of the organizer, I say a very big thank you for that lecture. We will accommodate some questions like we said. We intended to make this more robustly interactive, but because of time cancer, or you might want to say this time around, the problem we have is beyond cancer. It is now COVID. So maybe because of time COVID, we would want to just accommodate a few questions on each of the presentations. We will take 3 questions per presentation. That's been very magnanimous, you would say. All right. So I would want people to signify by raising up their hand with respect to which of the questions they will want to ask, and specify which of the lecture they will want to ask question on. I would by recognizing my boss, Professor Rahim. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me commend the Dean Postgraduate School and his team for this organization. It's a very good one for all postgraduate schools. I expect this all to be filled up, but thank God, I'm sure maybe people are viewing it from home. We said through the internet. Now, having said that, I have one question for Bello, one question for the second speaker. So how do I do it? That is 2 in 1. 2 in 1. Bello discussed proposal writing, and that is a very good one. I'm sure the students will have benefited from it. For most work, when you are writing proposal, I found out that in some of your work, you used I, we, which is pronoun. But we know that in some studies, it is better you write in third person. So, how do you reconcile those two? Third person of proposal, or the pronoun that you use. Then, for the collaborative man, it's a very good thing to collaborate. And I think worldwide, the need thing now is for people to collaborate within and outside. Now, maybe you and the Team PG School will answer together. Assuming you now want to collaborate with a lecturer outside LAUTECH, you have a work here with your student, and you want another person from outside to collaborate. By chance, maybe you want your student to go and do another work in that institution. And the person is now asking you, I can only allow you to come and do here if I become a co-supervisor. How do you do that? Especially if it's within one institution to another in Nigeria, or within one institution in Nigeria and overseas. Is there any provision for that collaboration, and how do you go about it?
Questions. Where I want to be gender mainstreaming conscious, so I would want to entertain questions from a female first. We don't have any female in the class or in the hall? Okay, fine. Alaja, can we have you? Can you move closer? Thank you. Let's have a direction as to whom you are asking a question, and then you go ahead to your question. Thank you.
Good afternoon. All protocol duly observed. My question is on limitations. Since proposal is a plan of the research yet to be carried out, how can someone derive limitations once you have not been to the field? For instance, you mentioned that the participants that's needed for a research, the other time is like 100. But after being to the field, you discover that only 20 can be used. And here we are writing a proposal. How can I know that it's only 20 that I will put when I've not been to the field? Thank you.
Yes. Now I leave the floor open. Male or female? Thank you. Do you move closer, please?
Thank you so much for the opportunity. All protocols duly observed. My question is directed to the second speaker, Professor Ajao, on collaborative research. Engaging collaborative research. To be sincere, it looks as if issue on collaborative research is usually directed towards our lecturers, towards the academicians. What's the place of collaborative research for postgraduate students? I've been in workshops like this, and all along it looks as if it's for those already in the academics that have access to collaborative research. How do engage collaborative research? That's my first question. And the second one, how does postgraduate student get funding? Of course, the international scene now, if you trend of things, you discover that Nigerians, so to say, have been delisted from the opportunities. As if our leaders are black, so to say, even though we are. But how can we harness local funds on research works, particularly for postgraduate students? It looks as if some of these opportunities are open and available to our them who are exposed, and those of them quite a big CV. Those of us who are just a career, who are just building up our own CV, how harness this? Thank you, sir.
All right. I was almost tempted to respond before I realized that I am not the guest lecturer. Who else has a question for us? Yes, sir. Thank you. Now that will be left with just how many questions?
All right, thank you. Permit me to to stand on existing protocol, and likewise to follow suit with the first speaker, my prof, who has appreciated the organizer. Thank you very much. This program is an exciting one, which is an interesting one. More so, my own area is first and foremost, I want to join the second speaker, who has made a request on how to assist the postgraduate students. Because I discovered that sometimes ago, I was discussing with some of my elderly people, and they are more of outsides. Telling me that you are doing postgraduate, you are doing PhD based on yourself, you are funding yourself. Say, why? In Nigeria, you are very funny. That you don't do PhD on yourself. That you have to, there's somebody sponsoring you for that program. Say, why? In Nigeria, you have to do your things and get out with your money and everything. Say, no. How can that be? So I was so surprised. So that's why I'm joining suit with the second speaker, that if peradventure organizer can make all those, make it available, all sorts of, how can benefit the postgraduate students, I think that one will be more, let me say, appreciated. Then the last one the second one is this, like I said, is an interesting one. I don't know how the organizer can make it the PowerPoint available to us, because it's something that you have to read and read and read and get it right one after the other. Where am I making mistakes? So when you read the first proposal, I say, am I doing it rightly here? You read and again, this is what the lecturer said. Let me go over. I'm sorry for wasting the time. Then the last one is the plagiarism, which is more of, but there's an area when you are referencing people's work. There's one area that I don't understand. Should you get it, that people's work, is a reference that this is related to your own work, and you want to make reference to such on what he has done. So get it verbally, or you twist that person's idea. That's under citation. That, okay, now I'm working in this area, this is what this guy has said in that area. Do we now copy it that, okay, because his own initiative, his own work, do we now copy it, or we twist it to fit our own? Because I find this so difficult that how can I twist somebody's work because of what? Let me copy him and say this is what I now vibrate, do my own. So I want more explanation on that area. You can go into that one.
All right. Those questions are noted. Please, we would appreciate that people restrict their questions to the first 2 lectures we listen to. There would be another lecture that will address postgraduate procedures and guidelines, and there will be another session for question and answer for that. So I figured that there's nobody sitting on this row, and I want to be proven wrong. Question from this row. Thank you, Elijah. I've seen someone there at last. Thank you. I hope there won't be plagiarism in your question.
Good morning. I want to appreciate the 2 speakers, my professors, Professor O.S. Bello and Professor Ajao. Thank you very much for the lectures. My question is about collaboration. Can a PhD student collaborate with a colleague? And will there be need to inform the supervisors? Because when it comes to publication, how are they going to sort it out? That is just my question. Thank you.
All right. To strike a balance, one more person. I felt the person would be a female. Where I come from, there's regard for the elders. So I want to appreciate Baba for rising up to ask the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, our professors, for this presentation. My question is very simple. Is on writing a thesis statement. I've often read of this thesis statement in a proposal. I don't know how to write a thesis statement. Then, in this collaborative work, if the onus of being the lead investigator falls on one, how can one share the tasks and the responsibilities of writing this research work as the lead investigator? The best way to share the work amongst the members. Thank you.
All right. Now my task is almost coming to an end. As a moderator, I'll add the mic over to those whose shoes I cannot unlace to address the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those questions. Let me start by addressing the question raised by Professor Rahim about the use of personal pronouns, about the use of I or we. I use that as an example, just to be able to drive home my point. In essence, you don't use personal pronouns when you are writing your proposal. The study seeks to do this. The study will examine this. The study will investigate. That is the right word to use. But for the sake of my own explanation, when I was talking about methodology, the way to collect the data, your participant, the location, and equally the subject matter, that was the reason why I used those personal pronouns. So personal pronouns are not allowed to be used. Use the words like the study seeks to investigate. The study will do this. That is better. And that is on that. Now, I want to equally respond to the question posed by Elijah about limitations. You see, there is no perfect system. There is nothing you want to do that is perfect. So have it at the back of your mind that even if you set out to achieve all those lofty goals, occasion may demand that you will not be able to achieve all of them. And that's the reason where this limitation comes in. You see, the reason why I put it here is because when you are explaining your work, especially when you get to result and discussion, there are some things that you're not able to explain properly because of those limitations. Now, the reason why I mentioned limitation here is for your own understanding that when you are writing the whole thesis, you have it at the back of your mind initially that there will be challenges. For instance, you want to do a project and you don't know the challenge that you are going to be faced with at the proposal level. But let me tell you point blank that there will be challenges. So when you have that at the back of your mind, that will come up later when you are writing the final thesis from chapters 1 to 5. Because there are some things you want to explain, and all these limitations will have to come in so that you'll be able to convince the reader. So I'm just preparing our mind. There is no perfect system. There are limitations everywhere. You may want to get some, for instance, let me give you an instance. I want to conduct a study on the effluent from all these multinational, Shell, Chevron, and what have you. And I will need to go there and get samples. The first thing is they will not allow you to go there because they don't know why you are there. Even if you explain that it's purely for research, they will still be skeptical. So those are limitations. I want to see what they are doing. I want to ensure that the effluent they are discharging is not harmful to the public. But these are limitations. Probably I set out to consult 4 organizations. I'm able to get 1. So my discussion will now be based on that one. So have it at the back of your mind that there will be challenges. And that's the reason why I'm bringing it up. But at the proposal level, you don't say that these are the problems that I will face. But in the final thesis, when you are concluding your work, definitely there will be challenges. And those are recommendations for further work. There are challenges. You want to carry out analysis, want to characterize a sample using 5 techniques. You got only 2 techniques. And you are asked, why is it that you got only 2? Why not 5? These are part of the limitations. The limitation will not come up black and white in the proposal. But when you are writing your thesis, definitely there are challenges that you have encountered which you have to put there. These are indication of honesty and integrity. So please take note of that. Now let me quickly respond to, okay, I will leave the collaborative research to Professor Ajao. Let me go to plagiarism. You asked the question on plagiarism, and that's a very good question. Okay, somebody has an idea. I want to use the idea. Do I twist the idea, or how do I do it so that this software will not paint my work red? You see, what you do is, once you write 2 words, 2 or 3 words of a particular author, unchanged, the way they follow, once you write 2 or 3 words together, the way it is explained in that paper, the software will tell you that, look, this is plagiarism. What you do is, you will rewrite what those things are without losing the scientific meaning. Rewrite those thoughts, those findings, without losing the scientific meaning. I mark that word, without losing the scientific meaning. Then you can now put the name there. With that, it will not say that you are plagiarized. I was running Turnitin. In fact, oftentimes my name was painted. I can't rewrite my name. And that's the reason. The name of the school was painted. The department was painted. And that's the reason why we allow some level. That's less than 20%. But in actual fact, what you do is, if you have an idea, a thought that you want to use to validate your result, what you do is, just look at that particular thing. Rewrite it in such a way that you have not lost the meaning. And you put the name of the person there. With that, the software will pardon you. It won't paint your work. And that will allow you to go. Now, sir, you asked the question about thesis statement. These are just nomenclature. Different institutions, they have different nomenclature. Normally, thesis statement is termed problem statement. The problem you set out to achieve. But because we have different institutions with different nomenclature, some will call it problem statement. Some will call it thesis statement. So thesis statement and problem statement, they are the same thing. It's just a change of nomenclature depending on the institution where the thing is coming from. Before I sit down, I want to say something about funding. And I know my people here will talk about funding. And this is a question that has been going on in the minds of several of us, because immediately the funding was mentioned, I could hear people are clapping. Now, how do we get money for research as a student? It's an approach that we have to learn how to get it done. You can't do it all alone as a student. You can only get it done in conjunction with your supervisor, who are well known. These people, this funding agency, they don't want to throw their money to somebody they don't know. When he was talking about principal investigator, somebody who has not done research, you are requesting for money. They won't listen to you. They want to see your antecedent. So if you do that in conjunction with your supervisor, that makes it better. But if you want to do it alone, you are not vast in those areas. The funding agency will not throw their money that way. They want to look at your track record, your antecedent, what you have done here, what you have done. And once they see that, they know that if you put this money to you, you will get it. Let me share my experience with you. When my dissertation was read, I got a grant in 2012, $10,000 US. I wrote the report, I wrote the publication that came to work, and I sent it to them. I applied the following year. It was 2012 I got it. 2013 I wrote the report after the completion of the research. I applied for a renewal. When the response was sent to me, I was told that because of paucity of funds, that my application does not sail through. But there was a clause that the responder put in that mail. Say, however, if you are still interested in this grant, you can fill the attached form. I've been told that I regret to inform you. When Oyinbo say I regret to inform you, everything is negative. When they say I am pleased to inform you, everything is positive. After the regret stuff, they now put at the tail end that however, if you are still interested, you can fill the attached form. And I felt that, look, this is harmless. I'm still interested, so I fill that form. I want to believe that they saw that the work I did is fundable. But because there was no money, they could not fund it. And I reapplied again. When I reapplied, I got more. So what I'm saying in essence is, if you have a good track record, and you are working with somebody who has a good track record, as principal investigator, as a supervisor, as somebody who is your mentor, honestly, you will get all these things done under their cover. If you want to do it all alone aside them, they don't know you. Once they put your name in Scopus, they put your name in Google Scholar, they put your name and they can't find anything, they won't throw their money to you. But once they put some people's name there, just lorry load. When they say, this one, they'll be willing to do that. So I want to encourage students that please, when you are given a job to do it well. And I was talking about what will come out of your work, measurable and the qualitative. If you have good papers, publication from your work is a credit to you. And when you apply for such under the cover of your supervisor, you stand the chance of getting such. But don't do it all alone, because the people that are willing to fund research, they don't want to throw their money in a place that you are not sure of. So I want to encourage you, when you are given the work to do it well. When you do it well and the grant comes, you will be one of the beneficiaries. And in so doing, you are advancing. In so doing, you are making progress. And the time will come that you'll be able to stand alone and do the same. So students, please work closely with your supervisor on research and ensure that you do the correct work in such a way that your works are publishable. Now that there is a new rule, if you are doing PhD, you have to publish. I think I'm right, sir. If you are doing a PhD work and you have to publish, so you work hard and publish. What you publish today, you may not say the extent to which it can take you. It can take you far beyond your imagination. So if your supervisor is saying, go and write, you think he's a wicked man. It's not a wicked person. He's trying to help you to learn how to climb the ladder. And if you learn patiently, you will get there someday. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I have two questions here that has to do with place of collaborative research for PG students, and whether a PG student can collaborate with their colleagues. Going by definition of a collaborative research or types of collaborative research, every PG student already have a working relationship with their supervisor, which in a way or by loose definition of a collaborative research, you are already collaborating. But one thing is very clear, which some of us students are missing. Collaborative research, collaborative relationship. While your supervisor is supervising you, you should make frantic efforts to make sure that you build a very good relationship between you, professionally now, between you and your supervisors. So that whenever your supervisor is putting up a grant, a grant proposal, or he was invited for a research work funded by donor agencies, it can start bringing you up gradually, mentoring you over time. That is very, very key. Baba asked a question about sharing tasks and responsibilities as the lead researcher or principal investigator. First of all, you have to fall back to what I'll call the scope of work. For every research commissioned now, there will be scope of work. And in the scope of work, the task and responsibility for every member of that team will be clearly spelled out. But that does not foreclose you assisting or helping your colleagues, because you have to work together in a, that's why we call it a collaborative research. The last question has to do with initiating a collaborative research. This is the most difficult part of it. How do you initiate a collaborative research? As a graduate student or as an academic? As a graduate student, you rely a little bit heavily on your supervisors. Your supervisors have colleagues, has a better contact than you, knows who you can contact, who you can write to, seeking for help and assistance. And it has to do with a relationship too. There are times if you just come across a paper while doing or while writing your literature review, and this paper so much interests you, you can look at the author, you can look at the email, send him an email, discuss that paper with him. If you are doing something similar, open up a discussion on that, and that way you start building a relationship between you and that particular author. If anything comes up tomorrow and it falls within your jurisdiction, I'm telling you, you'll be the very first person that we contact. And in my final thoughts, I mentioned linkage. The university should have a functioning research linkage office. The research linkage office will house all the contacts for various disciplines where you as a graduate student, including myself, can walk up to and say, oh, Director of Linkage Research, I need your help. I'm working on this. Can you go through your repository and see if there's someone that I can talk to? And most of the time, because of the bad image that we have as a country, it's always good if a formal request leaves from that linkage office on your behalf. Thank you very much.
Although I'm not a presenter, but I just want to respond to the question on students getting research. Is it research grants now, or you recall that sometimes during the COVID-19 era, the postgraduate school organized a workshop. And that webinar, okay, not that webinar then was purely on how to get research grant for students. I mentioned it at the beginning, and we had a speaker from the United States Embassy that talked so much on Fulbright, and then we also have a speaker from the German Embassy that talks so much on DAD. Now,
one of the things that we are going to do, the beautiful thing about that workshop is because since it is webinar, somehow I stumbled on it not too long while we were preparing for this, and I was very excited that the video is still there. I'm going to edit the video and I will put it on YouTube, on the PG School. There is a new PG School YouTube channel now. It will be there, and then you'll be able to watch it over and over again. No, because it was such a long webinar we had then, but it was very rich. So there you will see we have opportunities. Unfortunately, Professor Jekainfa has gone. Professor Jekainfa has benefited a lot from DAD. Professor Adeomowaye too, she's here. She has benefited through a lot from DAD. You know, so we have quite a number of many of our colleagues in the hall. You know, DAD is a German-funded scholarship for students. It's for students, okay? You have some for master's students. You have some specialized master's students, and for all PhDs, the opportunity to do parts of full-time. But most of the time, since you are a LAUTECH student, you will be interested in doing part of your work abroad. And then you also have the Fulbright. Just like I mentioned at the beginning of the talk also, I know that one of our staff recently, someone in, I think in chemical engineering, one of our staff, got Fulbright, you know, scholarship, which is very, very good. Professor Lateef Agbaje also is a strong scholar, you know, that can give insight. But I think one of the things we have to do is what Professor Ajao said. You know, we have so many scholars in this place that have a lot of information, so many of them, but everybody is having the information in his hand. And you don't know. Nobody knows. And so there is need for an office whereby a student can walk into, submit, and say, this is what I am doing. And then the director will say, this thing you are doing, I think we can benefit from the grant of Professor Agbaje. He has done something like this. He can only know that if he has the information. Okay, and that is what you find in top schools. And I believe LAUTECH is moving towards that. So I think so Saturday I'm going to make the video available, and I'm sure at the end of the video, you will see a lot of opportunity. And since it is also the major thing, so many of our scholars here will have to look for an opportunity to make this opportunity available so that you can have opportunity for grants. And just like everybody has said, you know, you cannot do as a student, you cannot do anything outside of your supervisor. There is little you can do. Okay, the other time Professor Ajao said, okay, you can find, maybe you see a name and you write the name. Even in writing that name, you have to let your supervisor know, because there could be a conflict between the person you are writing and your supervisor, and the moment you write that person and that person says, yes, I like your work, this is good, that could be the end of your PhD, because you are already collaborating with your supervisor's enemy. So that could just end your study. Say, go, you can go, feel free. And then you just see that you are spending 20 years on the same spots. Okay, so your supervisor is very, very important. Very, very important. And so you have of this. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of opportunities for many students, because I know that is what you want. And you have to get very close to your internet, and I'm sure the mighty guys are hearing now, and they will put pressure on the management to make sure we have a strong linkage office whereby you can walk in, submit your request, and they will be the one that will help you, you know, and they will call you that we have been able to get a grant for you, go and apply for this, and we wish you all the best. So thank you very much.
highly placed professors like this, you're afraid of what to ask. What I always say is, say something. Okay? In your very jocular languages, Esoros, okay? And we'll be fine. Alright, so I'll start by recognizing, because the world is a world where the women rule, even though we say it's the men's word, I know that it is ruled by women. How do I know? Language tells me. Language says that it is the mother earth. Okay? Even though that's the land we step on. Mother earth. My father's language is even called mother tongue. So I know that it is women that rule the world. Yoruba people say Okunrin Lada. And they call, English call women madam. Àwọn ni wọ́n mọ Adamu. So when you are saying Iwolada, remember the person who knows how to hold the cutlass. So I'll call a woman first to recognize women as ruling the world. So please, your question, ma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Still standing on all the existing protocols. I wouldn't have asked any question because all has been well understood. But from the Dean, School of Postgraduate Study, from your last talk to us, sir, for the PhD students that need to do minimum of 2 publications, thinking about the financial implication and being a student, most of these articles to be submitted into these journals that are registered with Scopus, they are from database that they will collect a huge sum of fee, and 2 must be submitted or even being publicized. I just want to ask, is there any support from the PG school pending the time that grants will be given for these 2 publications, at least to fulfill that righteousness of submitting 2 within this period of 2 sessions? That is my question, sir.
All right. Yes, Doc. Dr. Salaudin.
Thank you very much. Let me call it Mr. Postgraduate School. Actually, there is one aspect of the new aspect of postgraduate school that really interested me so much, and that is the area of progress report. This is something we've been clamoring for over the years within the cocoon of our own faculty that has not really seen the light of the day. Some people may not really understand the importance of this progress report. The student may not appreciate it because it seems as if everything is directed to them. But progress reports will benchmark both students and the supervisor. Because a supervisor that has been writing good over the years, and after 3 years, the students still remain ungraduated, cannot come out today and say, oh, I'm no longer interested in supervising you. Because you have been rated him or her very high before. The same way, the student that will go today, I will not come back in the next 3 years, 3 months. And the supervisor has been indicating that, oh, this student is not serious. By tomorrow, if your supervisor Thank you very much. I noticed that here in LAUTECH, we laid more emphasis on one or two supervisors. And in some places, you discover that they talk of supervisory committee. By supervisory committee, a PhD student can have 4, 5, or even 6 supervisors. And all of them will be attending to him. I realize that this system of committee usually make PhD students, PhD work more robust. It makes it more robust, and at the end of the day, you discover that students usually have a less problem by the time he's doing his or her Viva Voce. So I don't know if the Dean Postgraduate School will have something to say here, if such thing could be incorporated into our system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All protocol duly observed. I have an outstanding question that has not been answered. So the Dean will answer now. That's the problem of where you have a collaborator from outside the institution wanting to be a co-supervisor. Is it allowed? And what is the procedure? Especially if it's outside Nigeria. My second one will be like a comment, or we look at it together. And that's talking about the proposer and the pre-data. Even while the Dean was presenting, he keeps on repeating the same thing, mixing them the same way. So I think we need to specifically now look at how we are going to separate the two of them. I know in some faculty, we do pre-data in the department, you do pre-data in the faculty. You do post-data in the department, you do post-data in the faculty. Now we are adding proposal to it. That will make 5. So I think what I think we should do is maybe this proposal that we are now introducing, which is at the faculty level, should serve as the predator in the faculty. So that immediately after that is approved, the student will now go back to his department, present a predator there after he has finished the work, and after that, he can present a postdata in the department and come to present postdata in the faculty. So that faculty will not necessarily have too much advantage, and the student will be presenting about 5 different seminars for a project. Let's look at it and see what happens. Thank you very much.
Yeah, quickly, before I call the next person, I think I want to feed myself by asking a question that's relevant, related to the professor. I've been wondering, in our university, a lot of during presentations, I noticed we put a lot of burdens on students in some of the departments. I wouldn't know of any that is guilty of it in LAUTECH, but I do know in Nigerian universities. We ask students to be the ones to take care of whatever we call refreshment or anything you might want to call during presentations. When Prof said 5 presentations, I start wondering how much an individual student running ordinary master's program would have spent in just feeding the superiors. How will the guideline of postgraduate school address this? Thank you. Now I have Madam.
Thank you very much, sir. Standing on existing protocols, my name is Temitope Olaniyi. My question is on the qualifying examinations. For students that were admitted before 2019-2020 sessions, after presenting our post-data seminar at the faculty, are we still going to do qualifying examinations? Why I'm asking this is because in the faculty post-data presentations, we can have students admitted before 2019-2020 sessions and students admitted during 2019-2020 session doing presentation on the same day, of which for those admitted in 2019-2020 session, we can have the qualifying examiners at the faculty presentation. Can that also be applicable to students admitted before 2019-2020 sessions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I also want to stand on the existing protocols, and I wish to make a formal request, which is on the issue of plagiarism. Sir, the Dean of the PG School, is it possible for the PG School to assist both lecturers, the supervisors, and students in getting access to plagiarism software, such as Turnitin, like the one Professor Bello mentioned during his lecture? I discovered we have different types, but that Turnitin, it's more sensitive. I've had the privilege of sending out a manuscript before. The one that was assessed as having 15% was turned down because they said it was highly plagiarized. So is it possible to actually get access to having this Turnitin software? Thank you.
You're welcome. All right.
Good afternoon. Permit me to stand on the existing protocol. My question is the issue of publishing 2 articles. In the process of publishing articles, the candidate or the student will use the report and the write-up of his or her PhD thesis. And it is expected that the candidate publish 2 reports or 2 articles from that same thesis. And along the line, the student will undergo plagiarism test at the postgraduate school also. So my question now is that, what will be the clarification between the article published, the article will be hosted by the site? Won't it affect the result obtained by PG School? No, the PG School is that the article, the result must be less than 25%. That's my question.
Yes, madam. You can come back.
Standing on the existing protocol. In addition to what I saw Oshuba earlier on, my question is, at our departmental level, before we were given, after our admission, we were mandated to pay a sum of 100,000, which is a exam fee. Then still, when we want to write our external exam, we will still be paying for the external examiner. Are we supposed to be still paying? Are we supposed to pay for external examiners, maybe for their transportation, their hotel? Because in my department recently, those that did their examination, they pay for the hotel of the external examiner. They fed the external examiner. They transported the external examiner. Are this normal? I want to ask. We pay for exams.
We have just few more minutes to entertain questions, because we would want our resource persons to entertain answers to the questions. Now I will entertain just 2 more questions. Yes, I have, and I will appreciate the other person to be a female, for more emotive questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Standing on the existing protocols, I want to appreciate the Dean of Postgraduate School and the board to appreciate these improvements, of course, in the new guidelines. But then my first question would be that, what would be the fate of those of us who have been in the old structure, so to speak? Of course, personally, for me, I'm rounding off my master's. And then what would be the fate of those of us in the previous structures, and somehow that have been affected by the COVID-19? And of course, we needed to slip into the new academic session. Are we going to be paying fees for the new academic sessions? And that's the first one. And secondly, I want to ask about exchange in doing a PhD. A shared PhD, like having a part of it in Nigeria, maybe the research work, or having the research work abroad, and then completing the thesis right here. And thirdly, I just want to appreciate the leadership for the new thing about the PhD. Of course, some of us are encouraged. Most people, when they ask us, where are you doing your master's? And you say LAUTECH, they say, what are you doing there? But of course, we are encouraged. It means some of us can come back to do our PhD. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. I wouldn't appreciate this rowdiness we are beginning to experience. Maybe we should stop the refreshment if we keep distracting the hall. So people don't want it to be stopped. All right, the last person, please come out, ask your question, and let's get answers to all the questions.
Standing on the existing protocol, I just want to ask that the other time the honorable governor of this state paid a visit to the institution, made a kind of declaration that student tuition fees will be slashed down by 25%. I want to ask if that will also reflect in the tuition fee of the postgraduate student. Thank you, sir.
All right. Now you get responses to all your questions. I repeat, all. I have confidence in my superiors who will do justice to that. Thank you.
Well, you permit me also to stand on the existing protocol, and at the same time I want to thank the organizer of this program for counting me worthy to be part of this. Thank you so much. I want to start with the first question. Though that first question should go to the PG school himself, about the issue of how students can get a support from PG school when they want to publish their manuscript. But let me quickly say this. Even the Springer, the SFR, and the rest, some of them, what they do at times, they can allow you not to pay, but they withhold the copyright for you. They will give you a copy that you can use yourself, that you can give to friends who ask behind the scene. But you don't have any right to go and display it on any data like Google, like ResearchGate and something. You can only display the abstract there. So what I'm trying to say in essence that you might not necessarily need a support or money from anywhere. You just go ahead, publish there. They will withhold your copyright for you. And after the time they have gotten their money from sales of them, they release the something. You can even go ahead and place it for you on database. So that, I think in that way, I must have answered your question. That's number one. Others will want to say something about it later. Yes, this next one is the issue of multiple supervisors. Let me answer this way. It's fine when you have a multiple supervisors. It makes your work beautiful. It makes your work more robust and a little bit wider in scope. But the problem is this. When you are thinking along that line, as good as it is, you must think along the line of a student. What if the 6 co-supervisors do not agree at a point? What happens? Because let me tell you, at a point, it becomes so difficult. You can find one of them that will say, we cannot go this way. And if we disagree, at that point, you cannot remove that person as being a co-supervisor. Then become a terrible thing on the student also. That's number one aspect of it. Number two is, look at the policy of this institution. Even if you are 4 or 5, they will only remunerate just one. Who pays for the labor of the rest of them? That is where the problem lies. Who pays for that person when they just pay for one? That's what the policy says now.
And except we want to deceive ourselves here in LAUTECH, that's only what is operational and operatable for now. So who pays for the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth co-supervisor? So for now, I think that's all what we thought at the PG school board level, that we agreed that, okay, let our co-supervisor just be one for now. And it will be easier for the supervisor and the co-supervisor to agree easily on whatever the student is presenting, and the burden of time will not be placed on the student unnecessarily. I think I've said a little about that also. Yes, collaborator outside our institution. Yes, I think it's something that is beautiful also. One, let's look at it from this angle. For example, some of us that are seated here, at least I know some of professors that I know here, even the chairman, Professor Bello, Professor Agbaje, we are all here. We have some people that we work with from outside there. After your student has done some few things, you look at it, maybe you send it online, and all those things. But there should be an agreement of what and what and what will be the demand of the person you want to involve, even before you initiate it, so that you don't run too far of what you have agreed from the beginning. If you know what the demand of such an individual is what can be contained in the policy of our system, then you go ahead. It's just a matter of writing a letter to the PG school that this also person from outside will be this. But during the period of every VIFA, are you going to be doing, because as a contributor, as a collaborator, you might want to witness when the student is doing one presentation or the other to see how effective of what those things are suggested are embedded in whatever you are doing. So all those aspects, the supervisor that we need, the co-supervisors must look into before you agree into taking such a person into do such a work for the system. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses. That's why it's becoming a little bit difficult for me to see even what I've written. So, the issue of proposal that have been mentioned here, initially what led us to this place, like recently I was explaining in my own faculty too. You see, at the PhD level, it's not too good for, or do I say too good? It's not too healthy for our system when the student that wanted to do a PhD now apply. And when the form now being pushed to the department, they now say, "Talo family." Talo family. That's a stupid thing that happens to a system. And that what led some of us to think that, okay, fine. PG school, go and upgrade your website. Let every other faculty also upgrade their website such that individual academic staff that are supervising for PG school will be displayed both on the website of the PG school and the website of the faculty fire department, such that a student from outside can enter our website, look at Professor Lateef Agbaje, nanotechnology, nano this, nano that. If that student is interested in that aspect, what does he do? He private chats Professor Agbaje through that media. And Professor Agbaje will now begin to chat with that fellow. What exactly do you want to do? Give me a skeletal proposal of what you have in mind. And at the end of the day, our suggestion that time was, if Professor Agbaje will have agreed with the student, and they polish the skeletal proposal that I bring with the calendar attached to it. In 3 months I will do this, in the next 4 months I will do this and this and this and that. From there, we will know that Professor Agbaje from that Department of Pure and Applied Biology is now the host of that student if the admission is eventually successful. That's number one. So when that student is now, that's what we said that time, but I don't know why doesn't want to go to that detail. What we now said that time was, if Professor Agbaje will have agreed with the student, a copy of the proposal and consent letter of Professor Agbaje agreeing to be the host of that person should be attached to the form to be sent to PG school. So when they are pushing the form back to PG school, I mean when this form and the form is being pushed back to department, the department will know the host straightforward. So it's not the matter of who is going to take this. Because to me at this point, as at that time, we are thinking of the fact that anybody that wants to study a PhD must have known at least the idea of what he's going to do. Not that somebody sitting down somewhere will now say do this or do that. No, that would be wrong for somebody that wants to go into PhD. We must be able to come with the idea of what we want to do, being now embellished somehow by the supervisor. That's the idea we have as at that time. And I think that's what led us to the issue of skeletal proposal in the beginning, which now dovetail into the one the chairman PG school said. That's what we call the abridged one. The comprehensive will be at the faculty to be defended in the faculty, but the abridged one, which is just a small paper of about 10 pages, will be extracted by that board to the PG school for filing, so that the PG school will not just be something. I think when others are talking about that, they'll be able to say, but that's the beginning, the genesis of that. So what we are now saying is, the first 1 year, take for example, in some department that all of us know, in this university, you can see a student roaming about the street in the next 4 years, doing nothing. Even those who are doing masters, they wouldn't have attended any even of their lectures. Lecturers will not go there. That's why the issue of this form is both on the lecturers and the students themselves. So the pre-data, the proposal we are talking about now that's going to be presented in faculty will now be what will be referred to a more or less like a comprehensive literature review and some other direction to which methodology and some of the things that we have a complete outlook of a project. Thank you. Am I done?
Good afternoon, everyone. Permit me to stand on existing protocol. Is a good initiative. I know many of the students, you are happy about this workshop and you have learned one thing or the other, and also the supervisors that are here seated. The response has shown that you are enjoying it from the questions. So I will still add more to what Professor Oladipo has said concerning publishing in Scopus-based journals. Yes, there are some journals that are very good and they are free. Students can explore this. It's not necessary that it has to be published in journals that you have to pay. You have good journals that you don't have to pay anything. All you have to do is, if what you have, the content is good and it follows the format, then you can send it to such journals. Then regarding multiple supervisors is very good, because that is a trend now that we should do multidisciplinary research. But in addition to what he has said, it's easier, this one having 6 supervisors, 5 supervisors, is easier where there are facilities, readily available facilities. And also, what happens is many of these supervisors or many of these researchers outside the country, you will discover that they have facilities for specific things. It's not wide, just like we do here. We do a lot of things here. For instance, it's broad instead of in-depth. But there, for instance, you can have the one man that I worked with sometimes. what is after is only antioxidants. Imagine that, antioxidants. So when you are talking of antioxidant, an expert in antioxidant, you cannot overlook that kind of a person. So that kind of a person will be very useful in that supervisory team. But somebody that is working on antioxidants, working on microbiology, working on other things, you may find out that you may not have specific facilities that you need for such things. And that's why limiting it, just like he said, to one co-supervisor or at most two now may be good for us in LAUTECH. Then, regarding fees for external examinations, yes. In fact, the PG board discussed this at length, and PG board frowns at this, that students haven't paid examination fees will still be asked at the departmental level to pay. But the problem is this: it's not the fault of the department at times. Why I'm not saying we should exploit students, but money are not made available to PG school to pay at the point of examination. Then the department also, they are limited in the money they can charge students. They don't have the money. But PG school is now saying, look, if you will charge at all, it should be minimal. And PG school is doing everything possible to be sure that funds are available to be paid to supervise, to assessors from outside and even within. So, and that one, the moment it materializes, it will solve a lot of this problem. So it's not the wish of LAUTECH to be overburdening students with multiple payments. Then the reduction in fees that the owner of the university, the state governor, he announced it. But it's the university that will now, the university has the final say whether it will affect both the undergraduate and the postgraduate. So, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have 3 questions here, and these questions are very germane to what we are discussing. Let me read it, and I will profile some answers. Sir, when is the appropriate time to allocate PhD students to supervisors? Because some departments used to mandate PhD students to do coursework and only allocate supervisors after the end of the 1-year coursework. What is the standard, and what is the PG school doing to correct this? I want to say that this question is strictly a departmental affair. But the department are always encouraged that when they are returning their funds back to PG school, they will have recommended a supervisor. So it's at the department that this is done. But the PG school always encourage the department that when they are sending their recommendation to the PG school, it should be sent alongside the supervisor. So this is strictly a departmental affair, and they have been encouraged by the PG school to do that right from inception. The second question, sir, it has been observed that most departments have more than needed students admitted, thereby overstretching their human resources and ability to see PG students through within the stipulated time. What is the PG school doing to regulate PG student intake into this department? This is strictly, let me answer it in 2 ways. One, this is a management affair, and at the same time, a departmental affair. Let me bring out an illustration from my department. There was a year we refused to admit PG students because we have backlog of students. For that year, I think 2016, 2017, we did not admit any student. We want to make sure that the backlog of students, they graduated. I think that is strictly a departmental affair. But by and large, since this is an open forum, I think the management can look into this. If some departments are understaffed, I think a communique should be sent to the management to look into how more staff will be recruited to that department so that they can take care of postgraduate studies. The third one here, sir, I want the PG school to carry out a survey, perhaps through questionnaire approach on the challenges PG students are facing on their programs with a view of finding solution through proper planning to the problem. I discussed it with the Dean PG School just on this table, and I feel this is a good one. We need a feedback too. As we are telling you what the board is doing, telling you what you are expected to do, we need a feedback from you. I think this will be done. And once this is done, let us fill the questionnaire sincerely. This will guide in planning. Thank you very much. Lastly, before I sit down, I want to talk on the plagiarism that a question was asked on that. There are two questions. One, how do you have access to that software? And secondly, somebody raised a question that we are asked to publish 2 articles. If you have published an article from your work and you do plagiarism on that work, won't there be an overlap or a similarity in that work vis-a-vis your thesis? The first one, the plagiarism software. I think the PG school is looking into this. I was trying to discuss with him to get that Turnitin. I think, is it per semester or per year, cost 1 million naira. This is very huge. But I want to encourage the PG school to look into this so that the burden will be lessened. If students have checked their work and is within a very reasonable percentage, maybe less than 20%, honestly, we won't have to bother ourselves on this. I think the PG school will look into this and see what could be done to make sure that this is available to staff. And once available to staff, the staff can check their student work and return the similarity score. Concerning the question of somebody publishing an article from your work and you run the plagiarism and there was an overlap, 2 ways to it. One, if the work is from your thesis, I think that percentage, it will reflect. If you use Turnitin, it will reflect the journal, the outlet from where that overlap comes from. If it is from your work, that is pardonable. If it is from your work. But if it is not from your work, that is not pardonable. So let's take note of this. If it is from your work, the substantial is from the work we are submitting, and we encourage you to publish. Since the Turnitin will indicate the source, that is pardonable. At least that will be removed from the total percentage obtained. It's not going to be your own work, assuming that take about 40%. And the other one, if the total is 50%, 40 will be removed from 50, meaning that the whole thing is just 10%. We are going to remove the one from your work from the total, since we encourage you to publish. But if the bulky part is coming from other sources, definitely you will have to look into that and make an appropriate correction. Now, the spilling because of COVID-19, the shared PhD, and the qualifying exam, I will leave that to Professor Jurungbe to handle that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, like my guy, use my glasses. I brought mine. Okay, so many of these things has been answered. Yeah, the PG school is trying to make sure that most of these things enjoy their stay. So just like we said, towards excellence. I'm very happy that one of our lecturers talked about Turnitin, and we have actually looked into it. By now, I thought we'll have it available for everybody, you know, I said by now, until they gave us the cost, and we had a rethink. But it seems as if it's what people want. I think we'll have to look for a way to make sure that the Turnitin is made available, because if it is available, it's going to be for everybody, both for students. As long as you have LAUTECH email address, you can keep enjoying it. To work on this. Then also, maybe let me add a little more to what Prof said about the question on plagiarism. You know, that if you publish 2 papers and that when you, how will your plagiarism index not increase? But do you know that the truth of the matter is that self-plagiarism is also not allowed? Okay? You are not allowed to plagiarize yourself. That's what it means. So take, for example, if you are going to publish a journal article, maybe you are published in I don't know, international chemistry something, and you want to now publish in another international mathematics, and you say that this is me now, you copy it and paste it. You know, you are plagiarizing yourself. You know, it's also not allowed. You are expected to fine-tune it. You know, that is the beauty of science. What is this plagiarism that we are talking about? It's just saying, I am walking. Okay? Look again. That's what it means. Just keep twisting the English and make sure copy and paste. Okay? But like Prof said, yeah, because there are human beings that will look at some of these things. If self-plagiarism, if we are plagiarism that is affecting you, we will look for a way to do it. But you have to learn also not to plagiarize yourself. It is not allowed. Okay, so the issue of examination fee has been talked about. I think most of it, sir. Okay, the qualifying exam for people that are that got admitted before you. Yeah, I think the so-called new update is new again, no? You know, because it was done when my Oga was there, but now he has left the board for some time. So it is no more new in the real sense of it. So I think the effective date that we have now is that we are going, you know, we have, you know, this has been out since 2 years ago. And since then we have been doing qualifying exam because we said, okay, yeah, so there is really just, it was said, it's really not a big change like that in that sense. What we are saying is that at the faculty, invite the PG school, okay? Make sure that your thesis is ready before you do the faculty exam. Invite the PG school to the faculty exam. The PG school will nominate someone that will have read thesis in and out, come in there, and then be part of the seminar and make sure that your thesis is good, because we'll rely on the PG rep. That's why we try as much as possible to always choose someone that is well versed in the area that you are dealing with, so that they will be able to look at it critically and tell us, because we will rely on the report of that person to move you forward. Either we are going to invite an examiner, or they will tell you, sorry, you have to still do more work because this is not good enough. And just like Prof said, Professor Rhymes, I think it's exactly what we are doing that Prof said. There is no difference between what we are doing. The PG school is not organizing another seminar. No, it's still the same seminar. So you have the departmental seminar and you have the faculty seminar. So what we are saying is that at the faculty seminar, don't let it just be faculty now. Bring in postgraduate school. That is all. You know, either at the pre-data or at the post-data. Make sure postgraduate school is there, and so that we don't keep repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And on the issue of students paying for examiners and all of that, of course, like it was said, the board is not happy about it, and some done. And just like Prof also said, it is not really not completely the fault of the department. And that is why the PG school want to take part of the responsibility of that. And we are working to make sure that that stops. Because the moment PG school, or the moment the university is able to make money available and the PG school make that money available, I don't think any department will ask any student to pay anything. It is the responsibility of the university to take care of the examiner, their accommodation, pay their hotel bills, and be rest assured that that will